Hey guys, thanks for jumping in. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes while everyone gets on. But just make sure you can see that big orange screen here saying dashboard and reporting, because that's what we're going to be discussing today. So give me a little wave in the chat if you can see me all good. Not see me yet, but you should be able to see the screen all good and that you can hear me. Hopefully everything is sounding okay. Perfect. Thanks, Leanne and Michelle. Thanks, Celeste. Great, I'm just going to give it one more minute and then we'll get straight into it. Perfect. Oh, cool. Looks like everyone's in. Trish, Clark, awesome. Great. Glad to have everyone on today. Got a few regulars on the webinars at the moment, which is so cool. Now that's awesome. So quick thing at the start, we have done a Site App Pro release recently as well. So just make sure you and your team have updated the app on your mobile or tablet. Is always something to make sure is sorted. Most people have those auto updates on, but it's purely based off the phone settings or the App Store settings. So make sure that your team has those set as well. Just pop my camera on for today as well. Then we're good to go. Awesome. So what we're chatting about today is dashboard and reporting. I know most of you guys have popped into the webinars before, but as you would have just chucked some questions or said hello in the chat, there's the Q&A option to add the questions in there if you want to ask me anything. I'll try and cover it throughout if I can multitask. But if not, I'll just cover it at the end of the session and have a bit of a Q&A session as we go. Cool. So what we're going to do today is basically just discuss how the dashboard works, how the best ways to read it are, as well as the reporting side of it as well. So I'm just going to change over. So you should be able to see my dashboard screen now in my Site App Pro account. And this is where we're going to basically spend most of today in. So as we usually start most webinars, most Site App Pro accounts are run quite differently. So it depends on what industry you're in or how big your team is or how you guys manage your sites. Really differs on how you'll use Site App Pro. So I'll try and show a couple of different options or alternatives today. But again, if you've got any questions or think you use it in a different way, just flick me an email at the end or a message in the chat and I'll be able to help customize it for you guys a little bit more that way as well. So what we're looking at here is the dashboard. And this is what you guys will use on the day-to-day. I think we've got a lot of more admin managers in the session today, but this is what admins and managers will usually use. I know some people are lucky enough to have a team who just run this side of their health and safety, and so they are able to have this open on their computer and monitor it throughout the day. So that's one way to do it, is to have your dashboard open just to keep an eye on the sites and how they're tracking and to make sure that your health and safety forms are being completed. The other way to do it is maybe do like a weekly check-in, maybe a monthly check-in or every few days, just to check and make sure everything's looking good and no one's, just stopped using it or is filling in the wrong forms or anything like that. Especially when you're new to your account as well, it's good to make sure that it's being received well and people do understand what they're supposed to be doing. As when things are new, you do want to make sure that it's the onboarding goes nice and smoothly, so they're more lenient to use it in the future as well. So what we can see up here are some buckets, and these just give you some insights into some of the forms that have been completed. So we've got the date range on the side here. So you can see that we're currently looking at the last 7 days. You can also change this to like a monthly view, a weekly view, just today, or custom. Say you want to look at the last, last 2 months or something like that. You can change it by doing the custom date range as well. That changes the view slightly. So I'm just going to stay in the last 7 days one today. But you can see I've had 1 incident in the last 7 days, 1 toolbox talk has been completed, and we've had 2 inductions and 4 staff. So that could trigger to me that we might need to do a couple more employee inductions. If we've had 4 new staff start and only 2 inductions have been completed. So that could be something, a way of how it triggers your thought in that side too. Depending on how you use your account, some people don't use scheduled forms and they purely use the check-in and out user specific forms, and they then use the ad hoc forms, whereas some use the scheduled forms. So on the app, I'll show you what I mean if you don't know the form side of it, but if we look at the forms page, you've got either ad hoc or scheduled forms. So ad hoc are all the ones with the gray ticks here, and those are completed on the app by clicking the orange plus button. If I just filter this by schedule, you'll see I've got 2 scheduled forms. So this one is daily. So that's my risk assessment. And that means that one of those forms can be completed per day per site. So it's pretty much first in, first serve, or it usually works best if it's like you've got a project manager or a team leader or foreman who manages those forms, and they're the one who completes it for each site. Otherwise, if you've got multiple people completing a scheduled form on one site, there could be a little bit of overriding going on. So that's why this one works best. If you've got multiple people who fill in forms on the one site at the same time, then it's best to either use the pre-start and site induction user specific forms. Let me know if you need some info on those. Or just stick to ad hoc forms. That way, each time they open it, they get a blank form for themselves to complete. So jumping back to the dashboard, that's what we can see here. So you can see your daily scheduled form completion is up here. So this is across all sites at the moment. So you can see I've got, only 40% completion today, only 20% was done yesterday. And I've got some monthly forms are up to 20%, but we're only at the start of the month, so that's not too bad. I can then filter that down. So I know that we're predominantly working on my fake Albany site at the moment, and that one's actually at 100% now if I drill it down just to that site, and that's looking good. In this specific site view, you can also use this little check-in button here if you use the check-in and out feature, and that'll currently show you everyone who is checked in on site right now. So maybe you hear there's an emergency or something's going on site, you can quickly click that button to see who's on site right now and know who to contact or things like that. It then gives you the time they've checked in and the distance to site. So it doesn't show you if they've checked out. This is purely a live feed of who's on site right now. If you want to see who's checked in and checked out, you'll get that on the reports page, and I'll show you that in a second. What we've then got here is the activity stream. So I'm just going to go back to all sites. So we've got that view. And this just gives you that live feed of forms completed as you see it. So I know it can be a little bit confusing for some people looking at it, but we've basically got 2 entries per form. So you'll see there's these little orange dots here. And most of these mean that the form has just been opened. So if we have a look at this personal pre-start down here, actually, let's have a look at, actually, let's do this one here from Michael. So if we click on this, if we look at this one here, it says that it was opened as this was the first instance here, and it's shown in a little yellow or orange circle here. So the form was first opened or first started being completed at 9:54. It was on the PHAR site, and Michael did that one. It then got the gray tick followed by it, and that means that form was then completed. It was fully signed off. And if I click on it, you'll see all the information in here as well. And so that's the form that Michael has then completed, and you'll see he's signed all the questions off that were required. So he saved it fully. If you see that you've got 2 orange dots in a row, so it says Michael Jones is saved in, it had an orange dot there, that means that he didn't answer all of the required questions and it's still saved as a draft. So you'll still need to complete that. You can then further confirm that on the completed forms page if you're getting a bit confused of if it's a opened orange dot or a draft orange dot. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. So it just depends which way reads best for you guys. You can also use the activity stream to spot out any blue notes or observations that have been added, and you can filter it by clicking the little toggle up here. And these are all the forms with blue notes that have been added onto them. And so that way, if you want to, if you know you've been notified for some of them, you can go in here, double check what they are and follow them up to close the loop. So, if I click on this one, Even if you hover over it, it says that Greg's going home because he's going home sick. So it just gives you a quick little loop from there as well. You can also see these red ones here, those follow-up actions that we've discussed in previous webinars. And if you click on it, you'll see those show up down here in those little white text box with the red logo. And it just shows when the follow-up action has been added, if anything has been attached, what the message was, and if it's active or closed yet. So this one's active, which means that Sophie, me, haven't yet done the task. But if I close it, it'll then say closed, and it'll say when I did that. That way you've again got that full loop, or closing the loop around the traceability here. Cool. You may have also seen we've updated some of the logos in our latest release, which just hasn't changed too much, but they're just some nice new logos there to make it a bit more relevant to the form categories, which is really cool. The next feature that I actually really like on the dashboard, and I find I would use the most, is this completed forms by sites graph. What this is it's just a really nice visual for you guys just to get an insight onto what's happening as an overview. Again, you can filter it down per site and things like that. But what we can see here is, say we use the Piha site as an example. We've got one person that's checked in as it's got the little one there, or checked out. We've got one on-site induction is done, and one personal pre-start is done there as well. Which is really good. No stress, Roger, that's all good. Good to have you join. You can also see down here the names of the forms that are being completed on that site, and obviously the color code that goes across with these, and the axes across the bottom is just the number of forms that were completed. So it's just a really nice breakdown here just to have a look at. It's more just to make sure there is activity on the site, and if you know generally how many forms or what is supposed to be completed, just to know that they are active. Maybe the site just started today, and making sure that they are doing it. And then you can further drill into it once you know that it's working. Or if it's not, you can then action it. So say you do see up here that, say the Greenhive site was supposed to start at the start of the week, but they've only actually done one form when they should have done a lot more. What you could then do is, if you know maybe who the site foreman is or whoever's running it on that site, you can use the messaging tool here. So I click the little green message icon on the top right, and you can add either an action or a message. So if I add a message, I could contact them and go, hey, I can't see much form completion on site. Please make sure your team is filling in the daily pre-starts. Just as an example. You can then choose who you want to send it to. So just say Maddie is the site foreman for this one. You can send it to Maddie. I could then also send it to Greg as well if I want to make sure a couple of people see it. And then I send it to them so they get a little notification. It'll hopefully prompt them to start filling in those forms. You could then check in tomorrow to see if they have started or made any of those changes. You can also use the message tool while I'm here. To send any attachments. So maybe you've added a new form, or you know maintenance is coming up for a specific vehicle or something like this. You could say, hey, please fill this form in today for your vehicle maintenance. You could then attach a form, select it, and go down. So let's have a look at, say, equipment maintenance register, and then I know whose car it is. Say it's Helen's car. I'll then add that there and send it straight to Helen. So then she'll have this little form pop up in her account. She'll be able to click straight on it from the message and fill it in straight away. I could then even keep an eye on the activity stream just to see if they have done that maintenance, or even on here to see if the maintenance form has popped up on their site that they're working on. Cool. The next little section on the dashboard is the kind of certificates, resources, permits section. And so this is all set up in a few different places. So certificates and permits are a type of resource, and it's a way to add an expiry date to a resource. So as we see here, it's more for certificates or site safe passports or first aid certificates or training reviews and things like that. So you can see in red the ones that are overdue, and you can see that some of them say that they're for a person, and that means they're attached to a user. So I've attached them from the team and users page. So let's say, for example, we look at the forklift operator certificate for Maddie. I'll go to team and users, and this is how I've added it. So we'll see Maddie's user is here. Click the pencil button to open it. And if I go to resources, we'll see that that forklift one was added in here, and the expiry date is the 4th of November. So now that that's expired, I'd probably use the message tool, or however you like to contact your team, and let them know that their certificate's expired. They'll need to update it. They can then hopefully send you the new updated certificate, no matter what certificate it is. You can then come in here and update the certificate number. You can even upload the actual certificate or invoice or anything like that if you've got a hard copy of the certificate or permit. That'll then clear the dashboard so it's no longer red, and it'll fix up that little expiry date there as well. So that's if it's attached to a user. You can also attach them to equipment. Say you've got some maintenance or anything like that, or you've got like a WAF that you want to have and keep an eye on. You can attach it to equipment that way, or you can just have a generic resource by clicking the resource button. And this is a way to overlook or overview all of them. I'll go across here to certificates and permits, and then you can see them all here. So they've all got the little user icon, which means they're attached to the user. You can see what it's here for, and then you can click on it to view it here as well. Cool. So that's the certificates and permits. You can set up notifications to receive if those have expired or things like that as well. That's done in the team and users page too. We've then got the maintenance section, and this is kind of similar. So this is run off the equipment page. So if we look at the digger today, for example, I've added the digger as a piece of equipment. I can see that I've done a maintenance check on the digger because it says last maintained on the 9th of December, which was today. You can see that it's white, so it's actually not due for maintenance, but the red ones are. And if I click on it with the little view icon, I can actually see the maintenance that was done on it. So 2 questions, it was the digger, and the digger is in good condition, so it's fine. We've got nothing to worry about. If you want to go and then update the car's maintenance, you can do that from the app, and that's by clicking the orange plus button and going to the maintenance form and just filling in those 2 questions that we just saw there. Once that's completed, it'll update the date on here, so you've got that automatic update going on too. The last things on the dashboard are just these 2 little graphs. It just gives you forms completed by staff member. So you can see Ivan's done the most forms in my account. I could even send him a message, say, nice work, bro, you're smashing it. Or you can also see he's done the 19 forms there too. So just a little insight, and these are just the different types of forms. Final little thing here is if your dashboard isn't looking how you want it, say you don't actually use scheduled forms, you can move things around by clicking the settings icon just to customize the dashboard to suit how you guys want it to look. Cool. Final little step is the reports page. Not that it's little, it's quite a big monster here, but the reports page is where you will want to get the extra information out, so where you'll pull the rest of this from. So what you can see on the reports page is we've got summary reports and form reports and completed forms. So again, this is all done off the date range up here. And this is summaries is just a lot of different reports based off form categories or form types. So we've got a site report at the top, really basic. It just gives you site information. If you use scheduled forms, how many were required versus completed, and the last time you're active on that site. Training summary is based off the training forms that we've set up in your account, so the site app default forms, and it just shows you the name of this of the user, the site they were trained on, when they started, when they departed is the date they were deleted from your account. Training type is the form they completed, the date, and then any extra information here. You can then click on it to drill into the information from there as well. We've also then got the exceptions report, and this one's really good. So this is just a report on any time a blue note has been added in your account. That way you can have a look into it and further drill into those observations. Again, use those view icons to drill into the actual form. And you can also print and export or even grab the report out into a CSV file here too. On all of these, you can also filter it by site. That way you can get a specific report for this specific category and export it just for that one site. Say a client or someone wants to have the information on that, you can do it just for the one site there. The other reports here are more just a count. So say you wanted to have a quick look at how many incidents have happened on site. I could go look at the incident category count. I can see Birkenhead's got 1 incident this week and Queen Street is the same. And you can again export all of these. Cool. From here, we've got the form reports page, and this is the one you guys will probably use the most if you're exporting your data. So at the top here is one that I know a lot of you guys use. It's the check in and out report, and you can click the little page icon here to open the check in and out report. So it shows when they've checked in and obviously when they've checked out and how close they were to site. If I just filter this by the forms that have been completed, what we can see across here is if a blue note has been added into any of the reports. So we're still in the last 7 days date range, and this is a new feature from the release. Just to give you a little bit of clarification, or to be very easily spot those blue notes if they pop up. You can see the form that was completed, and then you can see how many have been completed. So you've got 6 or 7 here. So if we look at the risk assessment, I can see 7 of them have been completed, and I'll click the little page icon to open up the report. Again, you can filter by site if you want to drill into it there, and then you can see the site name down here too. We can see then the questions of the form going across, and last modified is who has last completed that form. Again, you can then drill into the specific form or the individual form by clicking the little view icon and looking into that form straight from there. Again, you can then export the form by using the print or the email icon, or export it to a CSV file if you want to then manipulate it into graphs or images or anything like that too. When you export it, if it gets a little bit too long, you can also take out some of the questions. Say they might not have been relevant to one job or something like that. You can take them out from there. That way, you don't have to have any bad data in there. It's all just the questions that you want to show. I have had a question recently about how long we store the data in here. And so once you've completed a form in your account, it's saved in your Site App Pro account. So we don't delete anything. You don't lose any of your data. It's all just stored in here forever and ever. So that's good for you guys. You can also filter. So say if I'm looking for like an incident report, you can then get all your incident forms to show up in here too. So that's the form reports page. The final one is completed forms, and this one is more just if you're looking for one individual copy of a form. So it gives you every single copy that has been completed. And this is what I was mentioning when we were talking about the activity stream too. So if the activity stream gets a bit confusing or anything, you can just jump straight to the completed forms page. And this gives you forms that are completed as you go, and it shows you if they're draft or saved fully. The difference between this and the activity stream is the activity stream shows you when they've opened it and more of a live feed, whereas this just shows you once the form is saved. Here you can search and filter. So again, say I was looking for a pre-start this time, all my pre-starts will show up here. You can then do an advanced search. So this is looking for a specific question or answer. So say you remember someone had an incident recently and it was about something specific that's come up, you can search for a keyword there and it'll try and find that form for you. From here, you can then see if any blue notes or follow-up actions have been added, and then you can drill into those forms from here by clicking that little view icon. So at the top here, we can see the name of the site, who last completed it, and when the date and time it was actually finalized and fully completed. You can then see the blue note is up here, and this one is actually yes, no reason, as it's got the little no and the question attached to it. You can then see all the questions in the form, and you can then also see the follow-up action that's been added in here, and we can see that one's still marked as active, so it hasn't yet been closed yet. Again, finally, you can print or email this little form off, and it prints off as a PDF, or you can just download it to your computer by saving it as a PDF to your computer. Cool, so that's pretty much the whole reports page. This one here is mainly just for individual form instances. The form reports page is for form report. So a report of just one whole form. And those are the two you'll mainly use to export the data from here too. I'm just going to have a quick look at the questions that have popped up and see if any have come through. Yeah, I'll send everyone the live recording of the webinar. I think we'll probably send it tomorrow, but I'll just double check with the team. But we'll definitely flick that out to everyone who's registered. If you don't get it or you have any trouble or anything like that, it's always on our website. We've got a webinar tab, or it's in the help articles as well in the support library. So jump into there too. Can we have a custom date for equipment maintenance? Is that Clark, I think? Yeah, that was Clark. Custom date, it depends what you mean by that one. So I can always have a chat to you about this afterwards, but how it works is you set it off the maintenance schedule. So you set your initial last maintenance date here, and then you can then set the maintenance schedule. So it's done either off every year, every month, every week, or every day, and you can set it there. Once then the form's completed, it'll automatically update that last maintenance date from there. Just have a look at the chat. Yes, definitely. So I just had a question. So I just want to verify in the completed forms, can I run a report by site, by custom date, for example, for one day only? So yeah, you can. So if you wanted to do that, you'd do it on the form reports. Oh, you can't do a whole site report if that's what you're asking, but you can do a form report per site. So say you wanted to get like a risk assessment. Have we got some here? Yeah. I'd go to today, if it's just for today, or you could do custom and just do one day. Say you just wanted yesterday, you could just go the 8th. The 8th. Are we going to have any yesterday? There was one. I might just go back today for a better example. Then if I click back on here, we can then filter it by site. So let's see what site it's on. Let's say we just want the Birkenhead one, and then you can export it from there, and that will print just what we can see on the screen at the moment. So it's just for that site, just for today, and there's the report. Obviously, you'd only want to send a form report if it's a couple of forms in there. Otherwise, I'd say you're better off just to send one of the completed forms because they look a bit nicer. You get the whole risk matrix and all the blue section headers and things like that. Oh, there's a couple more questions. Removing forms from the cell phone app which are not needed. Great question, Roger. So we can do that, definitely. So you can remove them by just changing the schedule. So you can see my end of day one here is marked with a red triangle, and that's how I've taken it off the app. So how it works is you're just changing the schedule. So if I use my risk assessment as this one shows up, I find this is a really good thing to do just so your team doesn't get confused, because we give you guys so many forms, just so then you hopefully don't have to build too many. But it's best to declutter your account so when your team looks at the app, there's only the 5 or 8 forms that they're actually going to use, so they don't look at it and go, holy crap, there's so many forms here. So what you do is you go to the forms page, find the form, click the pencil button. If it's got a schedule set already, you'll see the form schedule here is daily. You've got to make sure that one is at none. And then from there, you've got to make sure the ad hoc toggle is gray. So none and gray. I then save it, and that makes that red triangle there. So the red triangle means it won't show up on the app at all, so your team won't see it. It'll just stay here on the forms page in case you guys decide to use it again, but it'll be turned off from there. I hope that answers the question. Just look at the next question. Yeah, Michelle, we've been asked a couple of times for a full site report. I'd love, if you have got some more info on that, flick me an email and I can definitely pass it on to the team around what forms you'd actually want to include in the report, because we do get asked that a little bit, but at the moment it's hard just to build one when we don't know what forms would exactly go into it. So definitely let me know, and I'll chat to the team about it. We're always listening to your guys' feedback as well. We build it up, and then analyze all the feedback and things like that. So don't hesitate to give us feedback. We're definitely listening, and we love to take it on and then give you guys the new releases and hopefully give you some of the features or something that'll help you guys with your experience here too. Cool, we've just got a couple more questions here. Reminders for customer induction expirations. Oh, I answered that one in an email. And okay, that one's answered already. And yeah, how long is it stored in your account and available for access? It's just here. So once it's completed, you won't lose the data. You can again export everything if you need to. Close your account or anything like that, but it's all stored in here for you guys, so you won't lose it. Cool. All right, it looks like we might have answered all of the questions, so I might leave you guys to it, but don't forget to read over those release notes to see any more of the features that we might not have covered. We have changed the app a little bit, so you've got it a little bit easier to complete those forms with the inline answers as well too. And so there's a few new changes that we're continually changing and updating the product based off your feedback as well. So it's all exciting. But thanks for joining me today, guys. Have an awesome summer. This will be the last webinar for the year, and I will see you all in the new year. Cool. Have a good one, guys. See ya.